Hello students, welcome to the 5th semester of BBA course. So after a long time we are meeting. Hope we had met in the second semester where I had dealt about company law and the secretarial practice. So after a long gap we are meeting again for the 5th semester. So this time here your subject that is going to be handled by me is the business laws, or sometimes also called as mercantile laws. The laws which are connected to the commerce, the trade, business. So which are the important laws that are connected and as per your prescribed syllabus. Here we are going to try to analyze what is mainly the topics you are going to discuss here in the 5th semester. So as it was in the second semester, here also the paper you have got here is 5, here mainly 0.4, and it carries here 75 marks. 75 marks are there for theory paper and 25 marks for your internals, same as it was there earlier semesters. And again here when mainly that 75 what we have got, how they are mainly classified. So here the question paper pattern has remained the same. So in the here first section A, so total you will be having here 10 questions which you have to answer out of 12. So each here question will be carrying 2 marks. So 2 into 10, that is here 20. This is the first section you have got 20 marks. In the B section, here you will be having here the questions carrying 5 marks and you have to answer 4 questions. That is 20 marks. 5 marks, 4 questions, 20 marks. And in the C section, you will be here having mainly 2 questions to be written, which carries 10 marks each. So 2 into 10, 20. Totally it comes to here 60. And the last one, D, here it is 5 marks where you have to attempt 3 questions, which is 15 marks. So that becomes 75 marks. This is how your question paper is classified. First 2 marks question, 5 marks question and 10 marks question. And last again you have got here the 5 marks question, which is usually a caselet. So as per the university syllabus, you have got here some prescribed cases which we are going to deal while we were discussing about here the concerned topics. So just I gave you what is the pattern of your mainly the question paper for your semester exam, and as it is 25 marks you will be there for your internals. So this is how your question paper will be there in the examination. So keeping this, here 5.4 is your paper, and we will see here what all we are going to study. Remember students, you are going to study the laws which are connected to here the business activities. So trade. So which are the important laws that has been prescribed for your syllabus. Totally you are going to cover here 5 acts. So which are dealing with different types of businesses. 5 acts will be covered in a paper 4. So those acts are, the first one is Indian Contract Act. Indian Contract Act 1872. So this is the first one and this is the major act you are going to study. The Indian Contract Act of 1872. So this is the most of the portion what we have got is covered here under this act. This is the first act you are going to study. Second one is Sale of Goods Act. the Sale of Goods Act 1930. This is the second act you are going to mainly study. And the third, fourth and fifth are the Essential Commodities Act. Essential Commodities Act 1955. Then Consumer Protection Act. Consumer Protection Act 1986. And the last one you are going to study, Right to Information. Right to Information Act, that is 2005. So these are the 5 acts which you are going to study here as per your syllabus. These are included in the syllabus. Indian Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act. So these two what we have got are pre-independent acts. Still they are in existence. Pre-independent, before independence, that is during the British colonial period, these two acts were introduced, the Indian Contract Act and the Sale of Goods Act. And Essential Commodities, Consumer Protection and the Right of Information, Right to Information Act, they are all post-independence. After independence they have been brought into force, 1955, 1986, 2005. So this is here mainly the 5 acts you are going to. There are many laws which are connected to the business activities, but as per the syllabus you are going to study these 5 acts which are the base of the business activity. So as such this becomes here mainly the base foundation for the study of the business or the commercial world. So now before we go to here what is there in your syllabus. So anyway students, I will be sending you the syllabus here in the group. You can just take that syllabus. But what is overall there in the syllabus I will be discussing here. Now the first question arises, is it necessary to have these laws? Here, or what is the importance of the law in mainly the human life? So the laws are mainly the enactments, rules and regulations which here regulate the behavior of the human beings in the society. Suppose think if there were no laws, what would have been the situation of the society? So we would have lived in a barbarous age, or it would have been a barbarous life. So it would have been a very chaotic. It would have a disordered stage. Jungle law used to prevail. So to regulate the human behavior, so these laws have been framed. In every field we have got a set of rules which are to be abided by the people living in the society. So if you follow those, mainly the rules and regulation laws, there we can have the law and order in the society. Human life is regulated. So this purpose behind the enactment of the laws is this. Now this is very specifically, as the title itself mentions, business laws. Means here to regulate the business. Suppose think if there were no rules and regulations in the business, the whole commercial world would have become mainly ups and downs. The disorder would have come. The chaotic situation would have come in the business. So there again the survival of the fittest would have come out there. So this would have been the situation. To avoid such a situation, to remove such a situation, to regulate the business activities. So for that purpose here these laws have been enacted. And these are the basic laws which are very essential for mainly the regulation of the business activities. So we have the 5 acts which form the base for these business activities. So keeping that in view, here these laws have been framed for your syllabus, as here you are mainly the course, the stream Bachelor of Business Administration. You are well acquainted with the business world. So every student of a business administration here is required to know about these laws. He must have the knowledge of these laws. So to understand and to regulate the business world, these laws are very necessary there. So keeping this here, what is the gist of your mainly the syllabus? What is the Karnataka University syllabus that has been sent? Here where I will be sending you that mainly in the group. You can take it down. But I will just discuss here what is there for your syllabus in the 5th semester. So because this is very necessary. So you are what if you look at what you have got mainly the university syllabus they are given, it is a half a page. In a very abridged form you have got the syllabus. So it is not a detailed syllabus. As such, here to make the students more understand about the topics, I will be going into the details of these syllabus. Just the syllabus would be blown up to you now, so that you can understand what topics are there in your mainly the syllabus. So this is here the keeping in view. Totally here in your mainly the syllabus as prescribed by the university. Here you have got the whole syllabus is classified into 5 modules. So the first module. So you have got totally here the 5 modules. So these modules here deal with the different aspects related to these acts which I have previously mentioned to you. So in module 1, what are the topics we are going to cover? So as you know that our first act is Indian Contract Act of 1872. This is the first act we are going to study. And module 1, module 2 and here module 3. So out of 5 modules, first 3 modules cover only this act. 1872, the Indian Contract Act is covered in the first 3 modules. So here major portion as I mentioned to you here is from the 1872 Indian Contract Act. So what topics you are going to study here? The first one is, the first what you are going to study is the meaning and the definition of the contract. So the meaning and the definition. This is the first here what we start. So you have to understand what is the meaning of a contract. So usually if I ask you students here what you mean by the contract, or if I ask any person what here the word contract means, immediately he will tell it is an agreement between 2 persons to do something, and here expecting something in return. So this is what usually a layman will answer. So it is a here contract means what it is an agreement, what we see. But what we have to notice is how the definition is there, how the definition has been given in the act. So that is the first one we are going to study, the meaning and the definition of the contract. Then we are going to study essentials of valid contract. So all contracts you cannot call them as here a valid contract. So specifically there must be some features to call that contract as a valid contract. Now for example, as I mentioned, contract means an agreement. Here is just in a here a layman definition we say that it's an agreement. I'll just give you one example. Here a person here A makes a contract with B that B should shoot C, and A will pay B here 10 lakhs. Now this is the contract, agreement is there. Here the agreement is there, and B shoots C. A refuses to give the amount 10 lakhs as it was mentioned. Can B go to the court of law? No. Why? Because the act that is being performed is forbidden by the law. It is against the public policy. It is here forbidden here by the law. It is not permitted by the law. So what we find is the subject matter, the contract, it should have here a valid here subject matter which will be permitted by the law. So that is why we find the word valid is used. The prefix word you notice. You cannot say essentials of a contract. You should say essentials of valid contract. When a contract becomes valid, when these here certain features are there. So what are those features we are going to study? Those features will be mentioned to you in our mainly the classes. So this is the second thing you are going to study. Then you are going to study about kinds of contracts. The classification of the contracts. Classification or the kinds, types, you can use any words. The kinds of the contract. How the contracts are classified. So this will be here the next topic we will be mentioning it with a different and how they are classified. So the classification of the contract. So what is the base of the classification? So when I come to that topic, we will be discussing that aspect, the kinds of the contract or the classification of the contracts. Then we are mainly discussing about here the offer. So here essentials of a valid contract, what we will be saying, the different features we will be saying just in brief. In brief we will be noting. So after that we go into the study of each of the feature in detail. So what you have mentioned in the essentials of the valid contract, that will be studied in depth. We are going to study in detail about these essential features. So offer, the first one we will be discussing is about offer. Or there is another word used in the law, it is also called as proposal. Here it is known as proposal. So the proposal or an offer. So what you mean by the proposal? What are the here mainly the essential ingredients of the proposal? The legal rules framed for the proposal. So that is what we are, and when the mainly the offer lapses, when the offer comes to an end, we are studying the different laws related to the offer. So what is offer we will study first. Kinds of offer we are going to study. Then we will be studying the legal rules for the valid offer, revocation of the offer, and the mainly lapse of offer. So in offer itself we are going to study all these here mainly the concepts. So if you look at your mainly syllabus, just it is mentioned offer. That's why I mentioned here offer. So offer it will be mentioned. But in offer what we are going to study, as I mentioned you, these are all the things we are going to study. Then we are going to study acceptance. So the definition and the meaning of acceptance. What you mean by the term acceptance? The definition and its meaning. Legal rules related to the acceptance. Legal rules which are related to the acceptance we are going to study. So first offer, then the acceptance. This is here the second aspect we are going to study. The third one we are going to study is consideration. So what is consideration? Definition of the consideration. So the here meaning of the consideration we are going to study, and here mainly what are the legal rules for the consideration. And in this we are going to study one doctrine. It is a very famous doctrine in the business law. No consideration, no contract. So consideration means here both the parties must get something in return. That is called as consideration. For example, A sells his here bicycle for 5,000 rupees to B. So A, for giving his bicycle, he has received the price of that is 5,000 rupees from B, that is consideration. And 5,000 what B has given, he has got the good, that is the cycle. The cycle is got to him and that becomes the consideration for him. So the consideration what we have got is here something in return. So no consideration, here no contract. This is the here what is the doctrine applied in the business world. If there is no consideration, if neither of the party gaining something, then there is no contract. So but there are certain exceptions to the law. There are certain exceptions. Here if you see, here no consideration, no contract, there are certain exceptions. Like here the examples we can give. Religious donations made. The mainly agreements made out of love and here the affection. So such here agreements we are going to study and they are here mainly without any consideration. So any here past voluntary services rendered, you cannot claim any here the remuneration for that. So there will be no consideration because you have done the act voluntarily. So consideration, no contract. But there is a here exceptions and those exceptions we are going to study here, the consideration. Then we are going to study about the competency of the parties. Competency of the parties. The competency of the parties is to be studied. So the parties to the contract must be competent. Capacity to the contract it is called as. They must be capable of entering into the contract. So competency of the parties. The next important here we will be studying about this. So in this here again if you look into the details of this, here the most important aspect is about the law relating to the minor. The law relating to the minor, who is a minor and what are the law relating to the minor, we will be discussing it here. And who are the persons competent to make the contract, who are here mainly eligible to make a contract. So we can also say that in another way, who are not eligible to make a contract also we can get the answer. So that will be here the competency of the parties we are going to study. The law relating to minor is most important. Then here in the module 1, the last one we are going to study is free consent. Free consent must be there of the parties. So you should not take the consent of the parties here by force or by using your undue influence or the position or by misrepresentation or fraud. So if in any of these methods the consent of the parties is taken, then it is said that it is not here free. The consent is not free. So consent must be free. Here we see how the laws have been framed are that mainly suppose think if it was only given as consent. Consent could have been obtained in any method. We would have used the force on another person and would have obtained his consent. So the law is very particular about this. And that what we find is the prefix word that is used is free consent. So the free consent we are going to study. When the consent is said to be free, we are going to discuss that under various circumstances here the consent when it is said to be free. Or in another words, here when the consent is not said to be free, we will be discussing. So in the module 1, these are the topics which we will be covering. So if you look at your university syllabus, only these points are given. But what are the mainly subtopics, that is also important. You have to concentrate on that aspect. Moving to the second module, as I told you, there are totally here 5 modules. We will be taking the second module now. Second module is also a continuation of the mainly 1872 year Act. It is a continuation up to third module. It is a continuation. Now what we find is in the second module, here we are going to discuss about, here the first one is contingent contracts. Contingent contract. What is a contingent contract? Meaning of that and examples for that. Contingency. Contingency is mean here mainly happening of an event in future. So the contract depends upon happening of a future event. So that is called as the contingent contract. In the second module we are going to discuss about the contingent contract. Then performance of the contract. How the performance takes place. The performance of the contract. Again we are going to classify here into two parts. The performance of the contract, actual performance and attempt to performance. Attempt to performance is called as a tender. Attempt to performance is known as tender, whereas actual performance. So performance of the contract is nothing but fulfilling the terms and conditions or the obligations that has been here imposed in the agreement. So that has to be fulfilled. So that we call it as the performance of the contract. So this is the thing what we are going to discuss here, the second topic in module 2, the performance of the contract. Followed by this, we are going to take here mainly the discharge of contract. Discharge of contract. Modes of discharge of the contract. Which are the different modes of the discharge of the contract? How a contract can be put to an end. So discharge means putting an end to the contractual obligations. Putting an end to the contractual obligations. So that means the discharge of the contract. So how the contract can be brought to an end. This is the next one we are going to study. Followed by this, here then we are studying about the quasi contracts. Quasi contracts and examples for them. See, that word is used, quasi, resembling the contract, identical to the contract, but straightway we cannot say it as a contract. We cannot use the word contract there. So instead of that we are using the word quasi contracts. So in other words, here one or the other essential of the contract will be missing here, but still it is the law which imposes here the obligation of the parties. Such contracts are called as the contracts. So remember how the obligations are here mainly imposed on the parties. It is through agreement. Whatever terms and here conditions you put in the agreement, that is here mainly the obligations is created through an agreement, that is contract. But here one of the essentials will be missing. So if one of the essentials missing, we cannot call it as a valid contract. But here there are circumstances where law says that the obligation is there. So it is the law which imposes the obligation on the parties. Such contracts will be called as quasi contracts. So for that reason, we are going to study in detail the quasi contracts and examples for that. And the last one here in the second module is breach of contract. Breach of contract and remedies for the breach. So the breach of contract. What do you mean by the term breach? Breach is violating, breaking of the contract. If any party breaks the terms and conditions of the contract, so that is called as breach. So there may be two types of breach. Like it may be anticipatory breach and actual breach. So two types. What are these? Anticipatory breach and actual breach. We will note it in when we go with our detailed discussion. But just try to understand what where is a breach. Breach means breaking of the law, the breaking of the terms and conditions of the contract. So it may be anticipatory. Here anticipatory breach may take place here, or it may be actual breach. So two types of breach. And the person who commits the breach is called as a defaulter. He is called as a defaulter. And the person who has sustained the loss because of the breach, he is called as the aggrieved party. The aggrieved person and the defaulter. So here there are certain remedies where an aggrieved party can go against the defaulter. He can claim those remedies here for the default committed. So and for the loss what he has sustained. Like we are going to discuss here, the remedies like damages, specific performance, quantum merit, injunction. So such remedies are to be here available for the aggrieved party. So in mainly the contract, the person who commits the default, against him the remedies can be claimed by the person who has sustained the loss, who is called as the aggrieved party. So breach of contract and the remedies we are going to study. This is covered in the second module. And in the third module, now when we come up, in the third module we are coming, this is the last part of the Contract Act of 1872. That is the third module. Third module here speaks about specific contracts. They speak about the specific contracts we are going to discuss here. So now we are coming to here where we have used, instead of using the word contract, there are some specific terminologies used and they are called as specific contracts, like contract of indemnity, the contract of indemnity and guarantee. So this is one of the mainly the contract we have got, the contract of indemnity and the guarantee. The first type, the specific contract we are discussing now. So this is also the law relating to this is covered in the Indian Contract Act itself. 1872 deals with the law relating to this. Indemnity and guarantee. Then we have got the pledge and bailment. The pledge and the bailment. So we have got another two contracts. So first one is contract of indemnity and a contract of guarantee. Two contracts you have got. Here also we have got the two contracts. Contract of pledge and a contract of bailment. The contract of the pledge and the contract of the bailment. So the another two contracts. And the third one is the last one here. The fifth one is contract of agency. The contract of agency we are going to mainly discuss that. So totally 5 contracts, specific contracts: indemnity, guarantee, pledge, bailment and agency. So these are the 5 specific contracts you are going to study in module 3. So what is indemnity? What is the meaning of indemnity? Who are the parties to it and what are the rights? So in this way, what is guarantee? The definition of the guarantee. What are the rights of the guarantor? What is a pledge? What is a bailment? So agency. Like this we are going to study these different mainly the topics. So in module here for 3 we have got these. So module 1, module 2, module 3, it is covering only 1872 Indian Contract Act. So this brings us to the end of the third module, and also we are moving to the new act now. The fourth module is with the new act, the Sale of Goods Act. Sale of Goods Act, that is 1930. Sale of Goods Act. The fourth module is related this is also a specific contract. This is also a specific contract, but an independent act is there. So before 1930, the law relating to the goods of here Sale of Goods Act was a part of Indian Contract Act. It was a part of Indian Contract Act, the Sale of Goods Act 1930. So, but it was in 1930, it was deleted from the Indian Contract Act and a new here act was here framed. The new act was framed in 1930, the Sale of Goods Act. This is what we have got here, the Independent Act, and in the fourth module we are going to study this. The first one we are going to study here the definition and the meaning of contract of sale. What you understand by the term sale? Here what is the definition and the meaning of the sale? Then we are going to study the distinction between the sale and agreement to sell. Sale and agreement to sell. So what is the distinction between these two? Sale and agreement to sell. So there are certain distinctions. Usually when we see sale, agreement to sell is also a part of sale, but there are certain here distinctions. So what are those distinctions we are going to study here in the sale and agreement to sell? First we are going to study the definition and meaning of the sale, then sale and agreement to sell. Law relating to condition and warranty. The law relating to condition and warranty, that will be the next here topic to be studied. What is a condition and what is a warranty? So usually you will find that these words have been used in the business world. What do you mean by these terminologies? Here the violation of a condition, what is the remedy? The violation of a warranty, what is the remedy? So in this way we are going to discuss this. Then lastly we will be studying unpaid seller and his rights. Unpaid seller and his rights. So what rights here an unpaid seller has got? So first we will understand what is the meaning of an unpaid seller and what are his rights. What rights he has. So this is we are going to discuss in the Sale of Goods Act. Remember earlier this was a part of the Indian Contract Act. In 1930 it was made a new enactment, and this mainly topics are involved for your mainly the discussion. We will be discussing these topics in this module 4. Last module 5. In the module 5, as I mentioned, you will be studying the 3 acts and some important aspects of that, like the Essential Commodities Act. Essential Commodities Act. This is the act which you are going to study, Essential Commodities Act of 1955. So what are essential commodities? What is the law relating to the here essential commodities? Here and the mainly person who is in charge of the control and the regulation of these here essential commodities. These are very small acts and we can cover them here very easily. The Essential Commodities Act 1955. Then we are going to study Consumer Protection Act. Consumer Protection Act 1986. So who is a consumer? What are the rights given to the consumer by this act, and his mainly the interests are protected against here the exploitation by the manufacturers. So consumers are we people, one who consume the goods, the services. So what rights he has got against those persons? Because for whatever goods you are taking, whatever service you are taking, you are mainly paying it. So naturally you must have certain rights. So what are mainly those rights? Then which are the important consumer tribunals we will be studying? So National consumer commission we will be discussing, state here consumer commission and the district consumer commission. The forums we will be discussing here in the Consumer Protection Act. Here that is in 1986. And last we are going to study about the right to information. So this is a very recent act here, that is 2005. 2005, the Right to Information Act, and a lot of amendments have taken place to this here act. So right to information here, as it is one of the here the right of the people to obtain the information from the public authorities. So he can claim for the information by applying here mainly to the information officer and the concerned authorities here what information he needs. So what all the information can be here given or revealed, but there are certain information where it can be denied. It can be denied. Here there are certain exceptions to this. All information cannot be revealed if mainly the public asks it. So it is mainly few information can be here mainly given, and what are those information that we are going to discuss in this topic. So these are the mainly what we have got in the module 5, the last 3 acts. They are very small acts which will be here discussed in our mainly the classes. And keeping this here the syllabus discussion what I have got done, and I will be sending in the group the syllabus of the university also. And in my next year class I will be mentioning you important books for the study. Then we will start with the first mainly the topic, that is what is the meaning of the contract. From there we are going to start, and we will see that we will cover mainly these topics, as this arrangement is for the month of September. Probably in the month of October we may have the here offline classes, but until that we will proceed with the syllabus. So in our next class we will mainly discuss about the books and start with the first topic, the definition of the contract. We will continue, students.